Last year, I gave a talk, almost an hour, on the topic of is reality really real? And discussing that with some people afterwards, and one or two said it's a bit like Timothy Leary's idea of the reality tunnel, which was written up at length by Robert Anton Wilson in his Prometheus Rising book. Now, I hadn't really heard of reality tunnels as far as I knew. So I've been looking into it since. And also, when I was speaking at the Trans States Conference in Northampton University in September, there was a very good presentation on it by Julian Vane and Nikki Weird called Escape Your Reality Tunnel. And I realized that there is something very much resonance between these ideas. And so what I thought I would do is sort of go over some of the things I've talked about in terms of reality tunnels to show a different light on it. So to begin with, what did I see in Wikipedia about reality tunnels? Reality tunnel is a theory that, with a subconscious set of mental filters formed from beliefs and experiences, every individual interprets the same world differently. Hence, quote, truth is in the eye of the beholder. Now, that is certainly sort of the essence of it, but one point is that it gives the impression when it says every individual interprets, truth is in the eye of the beholder, it gives the impression that each one of us has a completely separate reality tunnel we're in, which is literally true, but slightly misleading, because of course a lot of reality tunnel is something which we share with other people. And sure enough, it says further down, the term can also apply to groups of people united by beliefs. We could speak of the fundamentalist Christian reality tunnel or the ontological naturalist reality tunnel. So, in other words, I would say that the reality tunnel, although each one has their own reality tunnel, they're not sort of completely separate and individual. So that if that was the case, I couldn't really speak to you because your reality tunnel wouldn't be the same as mine. And so, how could we possibly communicate across two totally different realities? In fact, what I would say is that each of us has our own individual reality tunnel, but it's a combination of what we're given, what we choose, and what we actually create to make our own reality tunnel. Now, to sort of illustrate how this happens, I'm going to imagine a person brought up in a profoundly straightforward Catholic culture. That's all they know. They're brought up with Catholic ideas, Catholic churches. That is their reality tunnel. Now, it's a beautiful reality tunnel. The sweet smell of incense, all those wonderfully painted walls, the old masters depicting scenes from the Bible, the beautiful plain song chant of the Bible being rendered in Latin as music. What a wonderful reality tunnel to be brought up in. How rich and sumptuous it is. But then I can imagine them approaching, say, becoming students or late teenagers, and actually getting a bit sort of glutted with all that richness. It's all a bit too much. And they're walking along their Catholic reality tunnel. They come across a branch in the tunnel. And the branch is called the Protestant Revolution. And they look down this branch and wow, it's somehow so sort of clean and plain, just natural rock walls. No elaborate painting, maybe just painted white in places. After all those bells and smells and stuff, this is so soothing. It's so quiet. None of that chanting and all that sort of thing. And sure enough, the Bible is no longer something you hear in Latin. It's written in English, in your own language. And you're told it's the truth. Wow, after all that stuff, this is wonderful. Just you feel so free to think and plan for yourself and everything. So you really like this Protestant tunnel. And as you're going down it one day, you come another branch in the tunnel. And this branch is called the Enlightenment. And you look down it, and it's amazing. Okay, you've still got the rock walls, but they're polished smooth. Everything is glass and chrome and stainless steel. It's so transparent, and okay, instead of just the Bible for truth, you've got books and you've got measuring instruments, scales, test tubes, voltmeters, and you can test the truth for yourself, Wow, what an amazing reality tunnel. So you go into that. So what I'm showing there is both reality tunnels are things you're given and other people share, but also there's choice. You find a reality tunnel or a variation on it, which is really you. I haven't yet addressed the creating. You see, most of us in Western culture are given that scientific reality tunnel, the last one I've talked about. That's what we're brought up in, that's what we're given. But we don't all stay there as skeptical rationalists and everything. People make changes and they dig out their own little bits. Now, I know some astrologers who are very much see themselves as scientists. They don't like mumbo jumbo, they don't like crystal healing, they don't like all sort of things, reject it all. But they're astrologers, and you say, well, isn't astrologers just really mumbo jumbo and magic? They'll say, no, astrology is a science. And they will just it because they've chipped out a bit of a reality tunnel, a branch off science, which is really just like the scientific one, except it says that astrology is true. And similarly, there are people who have branched off to perhaps homeopathy, various things. They're saying, no, we accept science, it's right, but science hasn't yet mastered everything. And we're exploring areas where science has yet to penetrate and discover why it works, you see, or something like that. So you see, that's an example of where you can be given a reality tunnel, you can choose it, and you can begin to sort of create your own variations on it. Now, another thing that well, I should perhaps relate it to what I was saying in Is Reality Really Real? The main thing I was saying there is that the world we experience, both the sensations, the touch, the sights and everything, and the knowledge of that world, is actually modeled within the brain. We are living in a virtual reality which is defined and created by our brain. Now, what about the idea then of objective reality? Let's imagine that you look out of the window, and in your garden there's a tiger. Now, if you did nothing more about it, and you just told people the next day, oh, yesterday I saw a tiger in my garden, they would say, what were you smoking last night? Because you can't possibly have a tiger in your garden in suburban London or wherever. Now, what they are really saying is, did you take photographs of it? Did you go out to see if it growled at you? Did you prod it to see if it was really there? Did you call in neighbours, and above all, did you call in zoological experts, things to confirm that this really is a tidal and it really is in your garden? Unless you did all that, they'll say it's just a subjective experience, a fantasy, a dream, or your imagination, or you're simply telling lies. But if you did the other things, you're mounting up evidence for objective reality. Because there's this idea that there are those things which just go on in your mind and no one else is aware of, and there are those things which you actually do perceive. They are really out there, even if they were modelled in your brain. It is an accurate model of what is out there. Now, you see, what I was pointing out in my thing about is reality really real, is there's a problem there, because the photograph you took of the tiger was actually, the camera and the photograph that resulted was actually only modelled in your brain. It's part of that virtual reality. The people you call in, the experts, to discuss whether they can really see a tidal, they too are only really experienced as experiences created in the virtual reality of your brain. Your knowledge that you can't really have a tiger here is also part of your brain. Your knowledge of what a tiger is, all that is actually just modelled in your brain. So that sort of clear-cut distinction between objective reality and subjective reality is a bit presumptuous. It depends on a belief that what your brain is modelling is an accurate representation of what is out there. And that's a belief, because you can only think that is true because your brain, virtual reality of your brain, allows you to think that's true. So basically that was what I was saying, is reality really real? That was the essence. I was questioning this whole idea of objective and subjective, not saying that it isn't true, but that it is perhaps a little unreliable. We take it for some assume it's so. And I found that referred to in this Wikipedia thing about reality tunnels. It says the idea does not necessarily imply that there is no objective truth, rather that our access to it is mediated through our senses, experience, conditioning, prior beliefs, and other non-objective factors. So the reality tunnel is tunneling through something that might itself be real, but we live in a tunnel version of it, which is a combination of what we've been given, what we choose, and what we've actually made ourselves. Now, I've raised that question rather interestingly. What are we tunneling through? You see, if you have a tunnel, it goes through something. Is it a tunnel through rock or sand or earth? Or like the tunnels under the Thames, is it a tunnel through mud? What are we tunneling through? And through all that I've looked at so far about reality tunnels and what I've heard about it, I haven't actually heard anyone talking much about what we're tunneling through. So I'm going to come to that later in this discussion. So, reality, I'm going to make a statement. I go to almost a definition. It's a statement about reality tunnels, which may sound a bit outrageous, but I'm going to justify it. Now, it isn't really a definition. It's something which I've observed about reality tunnels, which may surprise you. Now, I'm going to put it forward as if it was a definition. And it goes like this. A reality tunnel is a space where magic is forbidden. Really? But surely for the person in the science tunnel, that guy I told you about who's got his own little niche where he's an astrologer, as far as that science tunnel person is concerned, that nutter believes in magic. Because astrology, we know it's a load of rubbish. So if he calls himself a scientist, but he believes in astrology, he believes in magic. So his reality tunnel obviously does allow magic. And the same with that homeopath over there, saying it's all very scientific and everything like that, but clearly it's just magic. So their reality tunnels have got magic in them. Now I say, no, that's not quite true. If you went into that reality tunnel and said to that astrologer, you believe in magic because you believe in astrology, he would say, no, you've got it all wrong. Astrology isn't magic. No, it's very different. It's actually a branch of science which has not yet been assimilated. In the future, we will understand it scientifically. We'll know the rules of it and everything. We're just exploring it so far. And similarly, the homeopath would say, oh, no, I've studied conventional medicine. I know all about that. But homeopathy is a sort of extension which hasn't yet been understood. So both of them are saying there's no magic here. Now, let's go back down the tunnel I described. The scientists, if I said, science is really just an offshoot of Protestant theology, where the Enlightenment happened. You accepted the idea there is one truth and all that from Protestantism. You accepted that you reject magic. So really, you're just an extension of Protestant religion. They would say, no. Protestants, they believe in all that sort of mumbo-jumbo, gods and virgin births and all that sort of thing. That's just sort of primitive magical superstition. Whereas we are scientists, we have none of that here. So if you went back down that tunnel to the Protestants and said, I'm told that you're really just magicians, and you believe in all sorts of superstitious things, they would say, absolutely not. Healing people with holy water, that's not magic. That's divine intervention. We have no truck with magic. We totally reject the Catholic mumbo-jumbo of hopes corpus meum and turning wine and bread into flesh. And that's magic. That's mumbo-jumbo. We've got nothing to do with that nonsense. No, we are Protestants and we have rejected magic absolutely. No magic here. And you go back down to the Catholic bit and you say, the Protestants were telling me that you believe in mumbo-jumbo and magic. They'll say, absolutely not. The conversion of wine into Christ's blood is nothing to do with magic. It is divine intervention according to the scriptures. We burn witches. We have nothing of that nonsense. So what I'm saying is, you get the idea that when I say there is no reality tunnels or places where magic is forbidden, other people's reality tunnels might seem frightfully leaky, but for people in that reality tunnel, there is no magic. Now, you might say, well, what about me? I mean, I'm a magician. I won't say I believe in, but I'm open to so many things that would horrify Richard Dawkins. Crystal healing. Oh, yeah, okay. Ghosts. Yeah. I think I might have seen some. Fairies. Oh, yes. That's it. Demons. Oh, I've written about those. So you might say my reality tunnel is wide open to all sorts of magic. But everyone has their limits. If at this very moment there was a puff of sulphurous fumes and suddenly our Lord Satan was there himself waving his pitchfork at me and threatening fire and brimstone, I would be more than a little disquieted. Because for all my acceptance of possibilities of magic and things like that, I didn't really ever expect to find Satan materializing by my side and threatening me. So even I, in my wide open reality tunnel, have points where I say, no, 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 that's going too far. I would really have to extend my reality tunnel a bit further to allow that to happen. So I really am trying to justify this statement. A reality tunnel is a place where magic is forbidden. So I now want to look a bit closer at that and the question, what are we tunneling through? And how does the brain manage to do this? Out of whatever is the objective reality, if such a thing exists, how is it able to carve a tunnel which is consistent and doesn't allow magic? Now, I gave a clue to that in my talk of Is Reality Really Real? Where I pointed out that, are you aware that every time you switch on a desktop computer, you are reenacting the creation of the universe? Now, to cut a long story short, it goes like this. The CPU of that computer is a piece of very complicated silicon chip made of silicon. So, when it's switched off, what's it doing data-wise? Is it running programs? What's happening? Nothing. The idea of a program hasn't even existed. So, by nothing, do I mean zero? No, zero doesn't exist. It's just data-wise, computer-wise, it is totally unmanifest. There is no manifestation. It's like in the traditional tree of life, you've got the three veils of the unmanifest. We haven't even got nothing in the sense of zero. But the moment you switch on that computer, electric power flows into it. And something very important happens. There is now a distinction between charged silicon and not charged silicon. Now, in Kabbalistic terms, you've gone from the unmanifest to the world of Atzuluth, the world of emanation. Out of the unmanifest, something is emanating, a distinction, charged or not charged. So, is that computer? No. It's got no meaning yet. It isn't until we get down to the next world, the world of creation, Briar, that charged and not charged are defined as 1 and 0. Now we do have the basis of creation. Ones and zeros, a flood of ones and zeros, yin and yang. This is the Tao beginning to manifest. But it is the next step, the descent to Yetzirah, the world of formation. When those zeros and ones, which are absolutely beyond language, beyond meaning for us, they begin to clump into what's called as ASCII characters, numbers, letters, symbols, that what was just a tide of zeros and ones, meaningless apparently, become words, language, phrases, meanings. And that is the world when you switch your computer onto the sort of terminal mode and you see these floods of words and symbols, things like that, running down the screen. Absolute garbage if you're not a programmer. But it's just a torrent of words and meanings and connections, things like that. And that is the world of creation. And from that, we now have, there's a tree of life. From that, there's what they call a fall to the last Sephiroth, Malkuth, which is the physical world. Now, what happens on your computer with that fall to Malkuth, you get the desktop. And I'm saying the desktop is a reality tunnel that runs through all that programming garbage and mumbo jumbo and all that stuff, which is flowing all the time. And the computer gives you a reality tunnel, just as your brain has evolved to give you a reality tunnel. Now, you might say, what do you mean real? It's just a desktop, it's just a symbolic thing. Give it the test for reality. How do I know that this pencil is real? Well, I feel it, I touch it. I'm an agent that can act on it. I can move it around and it doesn't vanish. I can put it down on the desk and I can look at it and pick it up again. It's still exactly the same pencil as it was before. Nothing's changed. I can shut down my office and go out and come back the next day and it's still there. And I can show it to other people if you like. Look, it's a pencil. Yeah, it's a pencil, I agree. And I put it down, it's the same pencil. Yeah, I agree, that's something. I know it's not absolute, but I've given a pretty good set of tests to show this pencil is real. Well, we'll do the same thing on the desktop. Up there is an essay, an article I wrote yesterday. It doesn't look like an article, it looks like just a little set of words. Click it and it opens. There it is, you could read it. It's the article I wrote yesterday and it's got the date on it. So there we are, it's real. Look, it's real. I could push it across the screen to somewhere else. But is it still the same? Open it? Yeah, it's the same. You see, it's real. I can put it into a file called My Articles. But it's vanished. No, I open the file and there it is. Ah, but is it the same? I open it? Yeah, it's the same. Read it again. And so on. You see, I'm giving it tests to show that it really is real. It's what we might call a solid object, that it stays the same. I'll come back the next day, open my computer. It's still on the desktop where I left it. You can't get more real than that. So, it's a reality. And it's a reality that is a tunnel through all that ghastly computer language and stuff. Because I can work in this tunnel, I can do things, I can write essays, I can file them, I can produce spreadsheets of my timetable, how my essays, the history of my essays, I can do all sorts of things. And it's all real. Now I have to say, but is it a place where magic is not allowed? Yes. Let's go back to ordinary old reality, my usual reality tunnel, which I share a lot of with you. Okay, we meet a magician, a conjurer type magician. And he's got a set of cups and balls. So cups, he lifts a cup, he takes a ball, puts it under the cup and covers it. Then he lifts the cup and it's gone. Magic! And he lifts another cup and there it is. Wow! Now he puts it back under the first cup. Is it going to vanish? He lifts it up. No, suddenly there are 3 balls there. Wow! That's marvelous. It's magic. Now, of course, because magic is allowed in our reality tunnel, we know it isn't really magic. It's a trick. But I'll say, devil's advocate if you like, actually it isn't magic, but there is real magic there. Because that sense of joy and laughter you feel when you see something like that happen, just for half a second, is an experience of magic. The joy of suddenly being out of the constraint, out of this reality tunnel, just a little moment of wildness. You've experienced magic. And that is the magic, not the fact there was a trick that caused it to happen. So you might say, wouldn't it be lovely if my desktop allow just a little bit of magic like that? Wouldn't it be fun? Think again. I write my article. I put it carefully into the file called articles. I come back the next day, ready to publish it, and it's gone. Oh, do I say, what a lovely bit of magic? No, I say, bloody hell, where is the thing? I can't find it. It's vanished. And then a couple of weeks later, when I'm looking through some other file, maybe, my accounts for the last year, suddenly there it is there. Am I thrilled? Oh, a bit of magic. How wonderful. No, it's ghastly. A desktop that allowed magic would be hell. No one would use it. If you couldn't file things away and be sure they're going to be there next time you look, if things are just going to change into something else on your desktop, things like that, it wouldn't be fun. It would be useless. It would actually be dangerous. It would be threatening to anyone who's trying to do real work there. And that was one of the points I made in Is Reality Really Real? It's all very well saying, oh, I hate this restraint of reality and things that can't happen and all these laws and regulations of physics, gravity and all that stuff. I wish I could be a magician and could just break the whole lot of rules. I pointed out that this brain's ability, in fact, when the brain gives you a reality tunnel or allows you to build on the reality tunnel, it's saving your life. This is what has helped mankind to survive. And it isn't just mankind. This is the most primitive thing, and it's created by a brain. Even an insect, when it flies and lands on a flower, it expects that flower to be a solid object that will take its weight. It expects the flower to have some honey in it. And so this idea that, the world of repeatable experiments, solid objects, agents acting on solid objects, is not the most wonderful, sophisticated idea that mankind is only just beginning to grasp. It's actually the most primitive function of any brain. Even down to an insect brain, the brain is what creates the reality tunnel that we can survive in. And I really mean survive in. I give this example a long time ago. You go to a safari park and you get out of the car, and as you stand there, a tiger comes out of the bush. Now, your brain reduces that to the very simplest terms. Tiger, danger. Car, safety. You, an agent that can run into the car and slam the door and survive. Now, what would happen if instead you were high on LSD? Now, being high on LSD means that you're seeing you're seeing through that reality tunnel, the desktop that you're given. You're seeing some of that flow of information, everything which connects everything up. You say you're standing there and you're thinking, wow, the beauty of nature and all that sort of thing. Wow, this is far out. Behind me the car, well, that's like mother in the womb, safety, that sort of thing. Wow, look at this beautiful stripy thing emerging. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, what a far out sense of danger it's got. Oh, wow, I really dig that, And you're going to be eaten. Instead, the brain boils all down to that simple reality. Tiger danger, car safety, you, an agent that can vroom, into the car, save your life. And so the brain, although it's doing something utterly basic and simple, it's fooling you that the world is a simple place. It is a fooling that has evolved over millions of years to save the lives, to save the existence, the perpetuation of species, including our own. So I'm saying that much as we might want to rebel against our reality tunnel, we have to respect it as probably the greatest gift we've been given. We should love our reality tunnel. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't want to try extending it. And in fact, I think it says something. Yes. It said in the Wikipedia thing, or I've given the example of the person who's quite in the science tunnel and yet has extended it a bit, that he can live with astrology, can enjoy astrology. Well, you could say that, I was born into that science tunnel. I studied mathematics and was taught that at school. But I have worked at my reality tunnel and brought in a lot of what people would call magic. A lot of that joy you experience when you see a conjuring trick for a second before you realize it's a trick. My life has got a lot of that in it. I'm living a much more magical existence than most people with my own little bit off the reality tunnel. And I'm sharing that with you in these talks. What I'm doing in terms of tunnel, I'm saying, look, I know most of us are born in this scientific tunnel. Okay, some of you are in one or other religious tunnel. What I'm saying is, if you don't just live in that tunnel, but you really look at that tunnel, the wall, you look for certain signs which are interesting. Now, let's say it's a science tunnel, smooth, polished rock walls. And then you notice something glistening that attracts your attention. It's like a little bit of gold. Now I'm saying, okay, why don't you take a hammer and chisel and chip away at that, and you might find a seam of gold taking you somewhere. You might have found a little way from that tunnel which got its own magic, its own value, which the rest of the tunnel says isn't there. Now, you could do the same in a religious tunnel. You might be well and truly in the Catholic tunnel and you see a little crack in the painted wall and you think, I wonder what's in there. And you chip away and you find a bit of magic branching off that tunnel. So that in a way is what I'm doing. I'm saying, okay, look, don't reject your reality tunnel. It's probably the most precious thing you've got. But work on it a bit. Could shape it a little. Explore a little. And going back to what I read in Wikipedia, it said, for Wilson, and this is Robert Anton Wilson, a fully functioning human ought to be aware of their reality tunnel. And I'm saying, yes, love it. It's the best thing you've got. And be able to keep it flexible enough to accommodate and to some degree empathize with different reality tunnels, different game rules, different cultures. Now, I think most of us would agree that's obviously the best thing. It's all very well being in a wonderful reality tunnel like the science one, but to insist that that is the only thing, and that anyone else is in a totally fake, false, untrue reality tunnel, that sort of dogmatism doesn't really get you very far. It's better to say, okay, that's your reality, and try to empathize with what the person might think. That way you can communicate. It's a better way to realize about reality tunnels and to explore them. It's better than just saying, mine is the only reality tunnel, all the rest is junk. Now, I get back to this question, what are we tunneling through? Because if you're making a tunnel, you're tunneling through something. If you like, and I don't really like this, it's what is the reality that you're tunneling, the real reality you're tunneling through when you make your little reality tunnel? I don't like that wording very much. What is it that we are tunneling through when we are reality? Well, on the computer, you could see what that was. It was the world of Yetzirah. the world of formation. It's all that language. Everything there is connected up, you see, because take any one word like, I don't know, well, any one symbol, and it appears all the way throughout. It connects everything that appears in computer language. Any one word you'll find throughout that computer language. It's a connected sort of mass of stuff. And it's a terrible tangle if you don't know the language. And yet out of it comes that beautiful, simple desktop, the reality tunnel. So think of that and think, what could be the reality tunnel that this physical world I experience? What's out there? And I can only think of one really logical answer. It is primal chaos. If there is any answer, someone would have to explain to me what it could be. Primal chaos is what the universe must have been created out of. Because I can't think of anything more sort of simple and basic than primal chaos. After all, Pete Carroll, in his Chaos Magic, I think chaos is seen as the foundational thing out of which manifestation emerged. Now, it's unmanifest. Chaos can't manifest anything. It's just total chaos. But you might begin to try to say, well, what's it made of? Is it like a chemical soup? No. Because the moment you have a chemical soup, you have different chemicals in that soup. And that is not chaos. It's distinct ingredients. Is it a flow of particles, totally unrestructured? No, because a particle is an item with qualities. It is not chaos, unmanifest. It is a manifestation. So, what can I say about primal chaos? And I can think of one logical thing that I could say about primal chaos. Logically, primal chaos must be totally connected. There is not one item or part or region of primal chaos that is not completely connected to every other particle, region, space in total chaos. Total connection between everything. The nearest mathematical thing I could approach you with is the set of all sets. Because in the set of all sets, there is not a single set that isn't part of some other set. They're all connected. In any two sets, however distinct they seem to be, there'll be another set where they're both, at least one other set where they're both in it. So, we're really stretching language. Set of all sets, total connectivity. That, to me, must be the essence of primal chaos. Because the moment you say, I've found two things that are not connected, you have begun to create a structure. If in primal chaos there was any two things which didn't have a connecting link, that would be the beginning of a structure. A things and B things. So, primal chaos must be total connectivity. So, when you create, the brain creates a reality tunnel through that primal chaos, what it is doing is making distinctions. This is real, this is not real. This is my pencil, and this is a different pencil. They're not the same. But they're both pencils. There's a meaning connected to them. No, they may be both pencils, but they're different pencils. It is constructing a reality out of total meaningfulness. You see, going back to that example, you've stepped into the safari park, high on LSD. When that tiger appears, you see the beautiful connections between everything. Oh, the car's like a womb. It's like my mother. It's safety and that sort of thing. Oh, that lion is so cool. It's so dangerous. Oh, it's like every horror film I've ever seen. Yeah. Oh, wow. And here am I, part of this great experience. You're not seeing the total connectedness. I don't think the brain could handle that. But you're getting a glimpse into that that higher world, the Yetzirah world of connectedness in the computer, if you like. You're seeing connections which are there in primal chaos because you're not in the reality tunnel, which separates them out so you can actually do something about it and save your life. So, that really is what I wanted to talk about. Looking at some of the things I said about the brain forming a virtual reality and seeing it in terms of the brain creating a reality tunnel. Seeing how, as Robert Anton Wilson describes, what's the phrase he used? A fully functioning human should not just be in the reality tunnel he was given, but should also explore and choose, make choices about reality tunnels. And I'm suggesting ways in which we can alter our railway tunnels, extend them a bit, bring in a little more magic, begin to discover meaning and linking things and beauty that was not allowed in the original reality tunnel. And I'm just raising the teasing question, what are we tunneling through? And I'm putting to you what is really just a logical conclusion of mine, is that primal chaos must be a world of total meaning and total connection. So when the skeptic says that this thing about meaning is just something the brain is inventing, you pick a tarot card for the meaning of today, and he says, yeah, that's total fancy. The card is not connected to today. It's not connected. It's totally meaningless. I'm saying, no, picking that tarot card is just taking you up into the computer language behind our desktop. You're getting a glimpse of the meaning connecting that card to other things in your life and everything. That's it, really.